Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. This is Marianne with Happy Paper People. And with me today is my friend and co host, Candy.
Hi, ladies.
So happy to have you here. Whoops. Wait a minute. Something happened with our volume up there. It came back on. Okay. Yeah. Put the YouTube up on the TV so I could actually see it while we're doing this. See what you're seeing. That will help a lot. Hi, Glynis. How are you doing today? Have you got your gel plate out? Are you going to play with us today? Awesome. Hi, Margie. Happy day. Happy Valentine's Day. Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day to all of you as well. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Julie. Ready to get messy? Hi, Tabitha. No, Glynis. Margie is not ready to get messy. You know, you can get really messy doing gel plates, but you also do not have to get really messy doing gel plates. So, totally up to you. But sometimes, you just get deep into playing and you get messy. You just get messy without thinking about it. So, we have spent the last 2 weeks working with stencils and different techniques for using stencils on paper or with paper. We've had different techniques. Both of those sessions were jam packed. We ran out of time to even complete them. So if you have not had a chance to see the last 2 weeks on stencils, you might want to do that. There was a lot of good stuff, lots of suggestions, lots of things we tried, and um, lots of things that I have learned over the years that I had put together and just shared with everybody. So, um, our third and final installment of Stencils is Stencils on gel plates. And we saved that so that we could do that all at once and not mix gel plates with the paper. And that becomes a little more messy, having to move stuff around back and forth. So we have some more people coming in. There's Toby. Hi, Toby. Actually, because my workspace can't get messy. Well, that's true. Right now is not a good time for you, huh? Don't have time today to make gel plate, right? That's okay. That's okay. A lot of times during these sessions, people are just watching, taking notes, asking questions, making suggestions, and then go try it later for sure. So, before we get started, as a recap, every time we have a live, I will give you a hashtag. And if you put your creations, Candy, I'm going to mute you for just a second. If you put your creations from that type of thing, whatever it was we were doing, in the group, Happy Paper People in Facebook, appreciate you using the hashtag so that we can pull um, all the posts that have to do with that particular type of thing and give away prizes. So on Mondays, we're here every Monday at noon, from noon to 2 Mountain Time. In fact, if you are watching on the replay, we appreciate you watching. We are here every Monday, noon to 2. Hopefully, at some point, you might be able to join us live. But if not, we're always here on replay. So, hashtag for Mondays is Monday Jumpstart. Today's will be Monday Jumpstart Jelly, Gelli, Jelly Stencils. Monday Jumpstart Jelly Stencils. Every Thursday we are here with the Mass Make. Every Saturday night it's SNL. And two things going on that you do not want to forget about is we are approaching 1,000 subscribers here on YouTube. So if you come back in after this is over or go back and watch any previous, boy, that light that I put there, I see is going to cause a big shadow when my hands are there. Watch any previous video that we have and comment on them with hashtag 1,000 subs. Candy, I unmuted you so you can control that.
Okay,
Hashtag
sorry.
1,000 subs. Um, you can get yourself entered into the drawing for a gift box. I have a flat rate box that I am filling full of items. I put a couple things in over the weekend, and this morning I put in some wallpaper because we may use some wallpaper today. So get yourself entered in that. As soon as we hit 1,000, we will have that drawing. Because of the cost of shipping, Um, I will say that because this is a special deal with 1,000 subs, I will pay the shipping on this box in the US. If you happen to be outside of the US, then if you would like it, you will only be asked to pay the difference between the US shipping and what it is to get it to your country, wherever that is. So I will pay the US shipping no matter where it's going. If you have other boxes coming from the sale or something like that, we can put it into that. We can split it up and divide it into boxes that are coming from different sales to get it to you if you're outside of the country. So that's going to be a fun one because there's some good stuff in there. And those of you who have ordered from my sales and received boxes, I will say that I've gotten pretty good at packing boxes because I hate how much shipping costs us. I really, really dislike how much shipping costs us. So I can pack a lot into one flat rate box. And so those of you who have ordered from the sales before have an idea of how much I can get into a flat rate box. So it's going to be a packed box full of goodies, just all kinds of things. I put some medals in there last week. There's all kinds of embellishments. There's stencils. I'm just going to keep adding to it as we go. Then do not want to forget about Margie's Buck the System Challenge. There is a post in the group that has that challenge in it. It is pinned to the top. If you look at the top of the page where it says featured, you will find that post that gives you all the details about the Buck the System Challenge. But basically, you are challenged to make a journal or a book that is at least 6 by 6, at least 10 pages, and using anything except butterflies, flowers, and lace. And you have to be very aware to not get butterflies, flowers, or lace into your book. It is it is so natural for us to go to those things, and so many of the papers that we use have those on it. So you have to be very aware. But I would encourage you to do that early so that if you happen to get your pictures in there and then we find a flower on a piece of paper, you have time to go back and cover it and correct that page. So you must post the pictures or the video of all the pages in Happy Paper People Facebook group by February 25th. That is a Friday, by Friday night at midnight, so that we can have the drawing. It'll be a random drawing on Saturday night at our Saturday Night Live the very next day. So looking forward to that one. That's going to be a lot of fun. So, okay, today we are talking about, there was something else I was going to tell you in that vein, and I'm trying to remember exactly what it is. Oh, it'll come to me, and I'll tell you when I remember. So today we're talking about stencils with gel plates and what can you do with stencils with gel plates. We probably had 20, 25, 30, I don't know, different techniques over the last 2 days of how to use your stencils with your paper. Boy, Candy, I really might need you for words today.
Oh, I don't know if you want me for words.
Paper. I'm forgetting paper. And of course, you're using paper with your gel plates. But a lot of the things that we did on paper, you can do on the gel plate, and it just turns out a little bit different because you're getting a monoprint off the gel plate. And then there are some techniques on the gel plate that you can't do without the gel plate. But there are some things, and we're only doing stencils and gel plate technique today. There are a lot of other things to do on the gel plate, but this is what we're sticking with today because it's our third in the series of techniques for using all the stencils. We all love stencils, and we've been collecting lots of them, and I want you to have tons. So far you've got probably 20 to 30 techniques just from those last two, and get some more today. But I want you to have tons of ways of using those, and those aren't even all the ways. They're just a bunch. So there are a lot of other things to do with the gel plate, and we will have more gel plate Mondays coming up in the future. where we will do different techniques with different tools. And let's see, I'm going to do a quick scan over the chat here. Maybe Candy can help me watch chat throughout. Let's see, between the two of us, we should be able to stay on top of it. Let's see. Okay, so Glynis, you're going to play along. You're just not going to get messy, huh?
Good luck with that, Glynis.
Margie had a gel plate. She gave it to her daughter, but she chose not to do it. Julie couldn't face all the rigmarole setting up in here for gel printing today. That's okay. You might get inspired to do it later or tomorrow. Teresa has 3 stencils now. Okay, Teresa, that's a good reminder to me to let you guys know that this coming weekend, we haven't had a sale for a while because I've had a couple of back-to-back surgeries. So this coming weekend is our next sale, and there are a lot of stencils, and they are inexpensive. A lot of inexpensive stencils. So if you would like,
unless you buy 30 of them,
yeah, like me. If you'd like to add to your stencil collection, this weekend will be a good time to do that in an inexpensive way. At least, you know, however many you get, you're probably going to get twice as many for the same amount of money. So Friday, I have to think here for a minute. Friday the 18th and Saturday the 19th. Friday the 18th, we will do two sessions. We will do a 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock. All of this is Mountain Time, remember. 2 to 5 p.m. Friday afternoon. We will take a break for dinner. We will come back 6 to 9 on Friday night. Saturday morning, we will be here 9 to 12 a.m. and then take a short break and come back 1 to 3 in the afternoon. So, shoot. Candy, can you talk for a minute? Excuse me.
uh-oh. You guys want me to talk? That's not good. I'm still trying to get everything organized here. I was thinking I had more time. Gel plate is a jelly plate. You just have to look them up. They're like Jello. And you put paint on them, Toby. Just search gel plate on YouTube. You'll find a ton of them. What sad news did you hear, Julie? I am not singing, Glynis. You know that. I don't know why you even say that. Not singing. I was singing earlier. My husband told me to be quiet. I didn't know he was close enough to hear. Well, I can make funny faces, but you can't see them. Nor am I putting my face on the screen. So
That was good.
That would make you giggle.
Teresa, thank you for reporting that bot. Margie, I assume that you were the bot killer.
My chat was hidden. I had to go unhide it. It's like I'm missing something.
Let's see. Hi, Violet. Yeah, if you need to take a quick minute and refresh, go ahead and do that right now as we're getting started. She does pack them really good. I can attest to that.
Yes.
Thank you, Margie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Candy just got them. I don't know how much that box.
Oh my
weighed,
God.
Candy.
It was
25
a lot of
pounds,
stuff
and I
in
dropped it
there.
on my foot.
And then one of the embossing powders you put in there busted open.
Are you kidding?
Yeah. So you had it in a plastic bag, so that was cool. So it got all over the plastic bag, inside the plastic bag. So I was able to save some of it, but yeah, it was funny.
Okay.
I was like, oh my God, this stuff is everywhere.
Was it one of the little jars with the screw top? Or
no, I don't think. No, it didn't have a screw top. It was a plastic top because that plastic top busted. That's what happened. Right when you dropped it on your foot.
It was probably. It was that whole bag that I was sending you.
Yeah, with all the little leftovers, and it was it was a little tiny tube, thankfully. So
little tiny tubes, a whole bunch of
Yeah.
a whole. Oh wow, was only one of them busted open?
Yeah, just one of them.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I had red mauve embossing powder everywhere. It got in my keyboard.
Seriously?
Well, because I opened it over my keyboard, and I was like, oh, I gotta move all this stuff.
Never open embossing powder over your keyboard.
Yeah, well, that's where my table's at. I don't have a lot of room here.
I know. Just do it over the
So,
floor.
yeah. I didn't. That's where I started. And then I had it all inside. I vacuumed it up real quick so it didn't get ground into the rug.
Oh, they want you to sing. They want you to sing. There you go. Okay, a gel plate. If anybody is not familiar with a gel plate, this
Oh,
is a
wait.
gel plate.
Julie said Holly Dalton passed away last night. So I guess she's somebody in the community. I don't know that
I
name.
don't know who that is, Holly Dalton.
So
Oh,
we had one pass away a couple weeks ago too. What was her? Oh man,
we've lost a lot of people to COVID
I forgot who
and
it was. And I
and
actually
everything.
watched some of her stuff.
Okay, so I told you the times on Friday and Saturday, and Candy's gonna sing, so we'll give her a minute to, to get
No,
warmed up and just get
no,
them giggling.
siree.
um, let's see. Okay, so if you're not familiar with a gel plate, this is a gel plate. It is a plate of sorts because it is a flat thing, but it is made of gelatin type substance. There are recipes for making a homemade one if you would like. You can purchase them. There are several companies that have them. This is a really large one. It is a 12 by 14 or 4, no, it's 14 by 6. I don't know. 12 by 14 or 14 by 16, something like that. And I like having that here because it's easier for you to see because it's nice and large. But I have little ones, just little like this. I have a 4 by 6. I have an 8 by 10 over here, and I've got a round circle. So my point is that you do not have to have a great big giant one. In fact, if you are getting your first
Hi,
one,
Tina.
I would really recommend. Hi, Tina. Hi, Debbie. I would really recommend that you maybe get a 5 by 7 if you're getting your first one. If it's your first one, I probably would not get any larger than 8 by 10. The larger you get, the little more difficult they are to work with because you just got so much space to work with. So until you become really comfortable and know that you want a larger one, they're not super cheap. So I would say don't go any larger than 8 by 10. You can do everything that you need to do on an 8 by 10. Um, in fact,
Yeah, that's the perfect. I think 8 by 10 is the perfect size. It's
I
almost
agree.
big enough for a
If
piece of paper.
Yeah, if you make your journals 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper folded in half, 8 by 10 works. Although I will say that Jane Davenport, I believe, has one out that is 9 by 12. And so your 8.5 by 11 piece of paper would go on it without having to go to the very edge. That would be cool. But
Yeah.
the 8 by 10, and there's room for you to do a border, lots of things that you can do on that. Um, and even the 5 by 7, you can do, two halves of the piece of paper. So, and a lot of stencils come this size, just like that 8.5 by 11 size piece of paper. So let's get a rolling here.
All right, go full screen for you so they can all see what
Oh,
you're doing.
all right.
Um,
Here we
uh,
go.
Julie said that round, rummy texture looks, the texture on that round one looks really yummy.
Yeah, it is. I was just before we went on, I was trying to pull all this grunge off. I probably did 15 pulls last night just trying to clean off this large one. It had grunge so thick. So, somebody said something about not working, won't work the same, or what was that? What's that conversation that I missed there?
You didn't.
Okay.
Violet said that Amazon had some prices on gel plates right now, but she didn't know which brand they were.
Okay.
I'm assuming Glennis was saying they all work the same.
Yeah, they pretty much all work the same. Like Jelly Print and Gel Press
Press, yeah, are
are
the
the
two that you see
two.
most of the time.
Yeah, they're the two original. Um, the Jane Davenport, that's going to be just as good. Um,
Hers are a
it's
little pricey though.
yeah, I'm sure that it is. The Gel Press, the
Is
Jelly
a little
Print,
cheaper. The Jello
they're
Press is usually a
yeah,
little cheaper than the
they're
Jelly
going to
Print.
be they're going to be your the original ones, and great quality. So we're just using acrylic paint today. There are a lot of different
Julie
things that you
says
can.
she's heard speedball ones are different. I have not
Uh,
seen a speedball one.
I am not familiar at all with speedball. I want just a
I've
little
seen
more.
their rollers and stuff, but I've not seen the gel plate.
Yeah, I have not seen their gel plate at all, so I can't really comment on that. Okay, so we're going to use acrylic paint today. There are so many different things that you can do on the gel plate with so many different things, but I just want this to be big enough to get that stencil on here. This, I've used this stencil so much, I really love it. I'm going to lay it down there. I'm going to take a piece of paper, and I am going to use just a regular piece of copy paper on this. And I'm trying to just align it straight is all I'm trying to do, so that I could use it in a book and the print would be straight. I've got some finger issues right now, so I'm going to use a brayer to gently go over it instead of my fingers. And you do not have to press really hard. Just gently go over it. I did not mean to pick up that paint. Darn it. I use a brayer that I'm not using in the paint so that it has nothing on it. But, you know, sometimes you got to go over the edge to get the edge on there too. And sometimes when I do that, I pick up some paint. Okay, so I put the paint down. I put the stencil down. I put the piece of paper down. And I picked up the imprint of the stencil. Let's see, there we go. That's a little bit better right there. See that? Okay, so we'll keep that aside for a moment. And then we're going to pick up this stencil very carefully. Because look what is still down there. All the paint that was underneath the stencil. Now, the back of the stencil also has paint on it. So I'm going to lay that over here on an 8x10. I can move the camera, and I will when we work on that one, but not just for setting a piece of paper. I'm not going to go back and forth and make you dizzy. I'm going to put a piece of paper on top of that. I turned the stencil upside down, and I'm running a piece of paper over that just to pick up any paint that is on the bottom of that stencil. Sometimes you get a lot of paint off of that, and sometimes you get a little paint off of that. So that is really like a shadow or ghost print.
Hello, Caroline.
Hey, Caroline. Good to see you. So there's just a little bit of shadow, ghost print, that would be the background to then build on. Okay, so now we've got this one down here. So some of you I know have tried some different things and they've told me that certain things just don't work. You can't seem to make it work right. And I have learned everything by doing it wrong. So what I'm going to share with you are the things that I learned by, that light is really bugging me. It's just the things that I've learned by doing it wrong, and then how to do it right. I'm going to see if I can. I'm okay with wasting a couple seconds time right here because I want this to dry. So if I pull that, no, now we have a glare. All right, this is almost dry, so I'll give you another minute to do this. Let's see what I can. Not cooperating. All right, is that bright enough? Or is that...
for me?
Okay, guys, tell me if the color on the screen, it'll take it just a minute for YouTube to catch up. Okay, right there. Is that still bright enough?
Yeah.
How about that? I'm looking at my YouTube.
Oh, that looks
Dry
good.
by the time I finish this. It just actually turned that light off. That got a little dark.
A little. Yeah, it's a little brighter.
Okay.
Oh, that's too bright.
Okay, hang on. Okay, moving it. I'm watching my YouTube. There is a little bit of delay, so that's why it
They're
takes.
big delay for me for today. I don't know what the deal
Yeah,
is.
it does seem to be okay. How's that? It's whoops. It's a little dark for me working. It seems okay on YouTube, but it's dark in my world. I don't like it being dark. I want to be able to see. I thought we had that light in a good place, but um, boy, yeah, I thought it was in a good place before, but that didn't seem to be working. Okay,
Oh, now
I
you're
probably,
sideways now.
whoops, now, there we go. I bumped the camera while I was up there. Okay, okay, that'll work, right? Looking on YouTube and that looks okay.
Yeah.
All right, so my mistake before when I first started was I knew that once I had this down here, I could put paint over the top and pull the whole thing, and I should get then this as a print on my paper. And so once I had this down, I would pull the first one up, and then I would put paint on this, and I would pick it up, and it would just be smeared. So the whole key to that is letting this dry. So you can put many, many layers on a gel plate and pick them up on your piece of paper. You can create um, a layered image, a whole scene, a whole picture, whatever it is. A lot of the cool artist prints that you look at that you really like are because there are many layers in there. And that's what makes them really neat because you can see the kind of 3D effect because you know there's things behind things and you get the marks and the all the different things. So you have to let each layer dry before you add another layer, or all you're doing is smearing it. And you pull one layer at a time, and then you can, so like this one, if I wanted to, I can take this one. I love it as it is because I just happen to like that stencil. Although I might want to tone it down with something like a vintage photo type, maybe I'll just do that with ink over the top of it. But this one, I'll want to pull something on top of it. So you pull the first one. You have to let this paper completely dry before you then can pull something on top of that. So I've got this imprint down here and I want that paint to completely dry. Once it's completely dry, I need some media or medium to adhere to it to pick it up. And that is going to be another layer of paint. So there are a lot of things that look really cool on this one. You could use a white or a cream or an ivory, or you can be bold and go with something like a turquoise.
Glenda says you got an echo. I don't hear it.
I don't hear the echo either. That's interesting. Let me check. All my cords are attached, seem good, and I don't hear anything.
Yeah,
Does
I don't
anybody
either.
else hear that? Ta-da! Candy's pulling. Ha ha ha. They can hear you pulling a piece of paper and curious what it looks
I
like.
know. It was just a quatrefoil pattern right
Yeah.
now.
Candy will show you some of hers later. She's just going along with this as well. So okay, so we're gonna be bold and go with a turquoise. I saw somebody said Margie said black. That's an awesome choice too. Maybe we'll do another one and do it in black. I do like black on the prints. Okay, so we're gonna put a turquoise down. Now, sometimes I'll put it directly on here and then, brayer it from there. Sometimes I like to put it on another gel plate, or if it's on this big one, I can put it right next to it and load up my brayer, and then gently take my brayer over the top. And you just gently take your brayer over the top and give it time. Give it time to spread. Don't think that with one swipe you have to get it completely covered, because it takes it a minute to spread. And you don't want to push too hard and pull up that paint. I should pull out this paper so it's a little more accessible, because this is drawing while I'm trying to grab a piece of paper. All right, put our piece of paper down. I'm going to gently brayer over the top of that. Press it all down. I'm just gently rolling this brayer over, not giving it anything heavy.
I got my headphones on, Julia. I'm pretty sure Marianne does too.
And I don't hear any echo at all. Do you, Candy?
No, I don't.
They're hearing a slight echo. Interesting. Sorry, forgot the question mark. Okay, now here's the other thing. A lot of times I would put this down and then pull it up immediately. Sometimes that works. But you need to give it time for the paint to grab the paint that's under there that's dry, and also to grab onto the paper. And so you can start to pull it up here, and I can see that it's pulling it, so I know that it's okay. And these are very thin layers, so it'll be okay. But the thicker it is, the longer it needs to sit and attach, really adhere to each other. So you can put this down and you can just leave it sit. It needs to sit until it dries. But another thing to keep in mind is the thinner your paper, the less time you can let it sit, because the thin paper will get soaked through with the paint, and not that you'll see it on the other side, but the paper becomes soft and it will tear the paper apart. And this is just copy paper I'm using today to show you that you don't need anything special. You can do it on lots of different kinds of paper, but this is just copy paper. You do not have to have anything special. And I do like doing it on a thicker paper, but I also don't like using a thick paper in my journals. And if I want to use these as journal pages, then I know that I want to just use a copy paper or a lightweight. Okay, so this one we took over the stencil of just the straight magenta, and then this one we put.
It comes and goes, the echo. So I'm assuming
Oh,
that
really?
might be StreamYard YouTube issue.
Yeah,
Then.
yeah, they're very, most likely, especially because we're not hearing it at all.
Yeah. Glenda's has got a new brayer.
Oh, nice. Okay, I'm going to set these aside here for a minute. And let's try something different. We'll use a different pink here. Speaking of brayers, oh, there's a great big goober. There's a great big goober. I don't want to brayer the goober around these. I have some really old paints. As long as they're liquid, I'll still use them. They still work just fine. I'm trying to use some of them up because they are very old. But you'll notice that some paints are more viscous, some are thicker, and you can try them. I saw another goober in there. I don't know where it went. You can try them and see how they work and what the difference is. The thinner the paint, the thinner the layer that you need. the thicker the paint, you might need a little bit thicker layer. So it has.
Oh, she got a new burnisher. I'm sorry, not a roller, a burnisher.
Oh, a burnisher. Okay.
Yeah.
A Baron. Baron. A
Yeah.
burnisher Baron. Yeah. I
Yeah.
actually couldn't find mine today, and I need to use it for my hands. So I'm going to do the same thing on this one, but this is a different color pink. I'm going to use I'm going to use a lightweight cardstock this time. Last time I used cop paper. This is a lightweight cardstock. So speaking of brayers, though, you reminded me, I keep 2 brayers when I'm working. I actually keep more than that, but I work with 2 brayers. And you'll see where the third comes in. Well, here's the third. I keep 2 brayers that I'm using in the paint. One is for warm colors, one is for cool colors. And when I keep warm colors going on one, cool colors going on the other, I don't wash the brayer. I don't wash it in between. In fact, there's 2 ways to handle your brayer. Either you wash it all the time, so you finish your gel plating session and you need to wash your brayers immediately so they're completely clean, or you don't wash it, like, ever. And you just let the paint build up. Once the paint is on there, the layer is on there and it dries, it's not coming off onto your next layer. You can go to a different color of paint and it's just fine. So once the paint is dry, isn't that pretty? So here's the difference.
Very pretty.
Now they're different color paints. The left one is magenta and the right one is a lighter pink. But this is a copy paper and this is a lightweight cardstock. Okay. And then I'm going to turn this over.
You did a wet pull, didn't you? You didn't wait for that one to dry, right?
Oh, you don't wait for that one to dry because I want to pull it wet onto this.
Yeah, Julie asked if it was dry. I'm like, you were doing a wet pull.
No. I need it to dry if I'm going to put another layer of paint over it to pull the whole thing. But when I put the stencil down and I want to pull like the negative, or is that the positive? That's the positive. Pull the positive of the stencil. I want to pick it up wet. Then this needs to dry so that I can put the paint on top of it to pull that up. I'm going to use the same one over here just to go over the back of the stencil and get any extra paint. And if you get just little bits and pieces of paint here and there, don't even worry about that, because that's how you get that good grunge, is just by little bits and pieces of paint adding up here and there. Okay, so we want
this. Those pulls look good. Pulls look great, she said.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Okay, so I keep a brayer for cool colors and a brayer for warm colors. And see, once this paint has dried, I could go to any color that I want, and it's not going to add this turquoise to that color because it's dry. And it's not going to reactivate per se. Like if you sprayed water on it, it would become all wet. And might bleed color. If you have alcohol ink and you put alcohol on it, the alcohol is going to reactivate it. But once a paint is dry, you can go to another color and it is not going to bleed onto it. Now, if I'm working quickly, I'll go, put one color down and then I might be doing another color, just seconds after it. And maybe there's a little bit left on it. And it's okay, because if I keep the warms on one brayer, the cools on another brayer, then they have a nice blend. They go together, and that's where I get some of the cool transitional colors and the cool grunge that shows up accidentally. Now, the third one that I keep is another one that obviously this has been used as a cool one, but I'll keep one that I'm not using in the paint, and this one I can use as a burnisher or as a Baron. The little round thing that you rub around to pick it up, that's the Baron. Because my fingers are hurting today. I'm using this to burnish the paper on instead of using my fingers. So I'm putting this one to the left so that I don't put it in the paint accidentally. I'm keeping the 2 that I'm using in the paint to the right, this one to the left. so that I can use that one to burnish. Now I have a fourth one here today, and this is one that I will use for black. Now, once the black is dried, it's just like everything else, where it's not going to come off on another color. However, because everything I do is not going to be black, and I'm not going to want black into everything, I'm going to use a separate one for black, so that just in case I grab it and use it before it's dry, I'm not adding black to another color that I really didn't want black on. So that's just a separate. Now, you don't need to have that many brayers, because you can use a burnisher or you could use a plastic rolling pin even to burnish that on there. We're going to do black over the pink this time. That was a great suggestion. And really lightly rolling. Now, the rolling technique is one thing that I get probably the most questions about. It is not like rolling out pie dough or cookie dough. As I roll, I pick it up at the end. I'll do this very exaggerated so you can see. And as I roll back, I pick it up here. So it's up, up, up. And so it's like you hit it, you roll, but you're lifting it up. Okay, that is the technique of rolling. And so when you come to the edge, you're not running over the edge of the plate and off onto your table or something. You don't ever hit the edge with your brayer, because as you come to the edge, you're lifting it up like that. So that's the technique, and it takes a bit, and that's something just play with, just practice. Like everything else, you just have to do it a few times to really get the hang of it. But I will say that it's really a short learning curve to get the feel for doing that. It's not like, learning an instrument or something. Very short learning curve. Okay, so I'm just brayering over this, or burnishing this on gently, softly. I'm not pushing hard, but I'm going to go over it a few times because I want to make sure that I get that print underneath. This is a lightweight cardstock I'm using. And before you pull it up, if you pull it up too soon, you'll get the black, but you'll maybe get bits and pieces of the pink underneath it. You won't get the whole thing. You want this to dry before you pick it up. If you feel it as you put it down, it's cool, which feels kind of wet. That coolness feels wet. As it sits, you can feel it change, and it will change to a it might still be cool depending on the temperature, but it won't be as cold. It won't be quite as cool as it was, and it will change to a non-wet kind of feel, a more dry feel, and so you can tell when it's ready to go. And if you're not sure, you can always go to the corner and start peeling it up, because if it's not good to go, you can put it back down, burnish it in some more, and it'll pick up your paint again. So if I go to the corner, and that I can tell it's cleaned my plate right there. It's absolutely clean. So I'm going to say that it's ready. Now, as you pull it, here's another technique that really makes a difference. If I just take this and pull it up, then I chance losing some of the paint because I'm going against the natural way for it to stick. It doesn't matter where you start. Top, bottom, side, doesn't matter. But if you will take it and kind of roll it back and peel it backwards so that you're rolling it off the plate, you will find that you have much better luck in picking everything up and giving it a chance to stick instead of just ripping it off the plate. Also, if you peel slowly, because sometimes you start to peel up and the paint may start to separate from the paper, and so it's partially attached to the gel plate, partially attached to the paper, and now the paint is deciding which one am I going to hold on to. And if I see that start to happen, I'll put that down, burnish that area a little bit to get a better grip on it, on the paint. But by pulling it slowly, you're giving it a chance to grip to the paper as you pull it up instead of the gel plate, which it's already been, stuck to for some time. So that looks really cool.
Yeah, it does.
Pink and black. Yeah, like that. Okay, so same color pink on both of those. So if you take these and cut them up and make things with them and you use them throughout a journal, um, there's a lot of continuity throughout the journal there that looks really cool together. Okay, so I'm going to keep them with the one. Let's see here. Kind of keep them in order. Okay, so let's take, let me glance at chat and see if there's anything.
Nope, not
Nope,
much.
okay. Cool.
They're watching.
Thank you. Thank you for watching it. Okay. Let's do another.
Mine's just really delayed.
Oh, really?
Just saying.
Yeah. Okay.
Nope, StreamYard's the same. So.
Yeah, pretty big delay today. So I don't know if that means I should talk faster or talk slower.
Yeah, Margie said the brayer makes her want to peel off the paint. That brayer that you're using.
Yeah, my brayer is pretty thick with paint. And I like leaving them until they get thick with paint and I can just peel it off. And then take those paint peels and use them for something else. You want to see something really cool? Last night, as I was peeling off the edge of this giant one, look at some of these really cool giant paint peels. One side is metallics. On the other side is red and yellow and orange.
Cool.
Yeah. I got a whole plate of them. I decided to keep them this time. Sometimes I don't. All right, I'm pulling up a couple more stencils for some more techniques. Okay. Actually, this one that I have here, this is the Waverly Inspirations. We used that. Let's see what color are we going to do on this one. I really like this one with the black and metallic blue. Where's the metallic blue? Here it is. Okay, we used this one when we were just doing the stencils and paper over the last couple of weeks. And a lot of you ask about it. It is truly one of my favorite stencils. I do a lot of things on the gel plate. It's great without the gel plate too, but I use it a lot on the gel plate. Ooh, and I love me some metallic turquoise. All right, and UPS is going to come deliver 3 boxes right in the middle of our life. Just got another text. So Candy, if you'll run to the door and meet him.
Yeah, okay.
That'd be great. Okay. So let's put this guy down, which is the side we've been. Look at this one. Okay. I'll take a piece of paper. This is a 12 by 12 stencil, and this is 8.5 by 11 piece of paper.
I love that stencil.
Me too. Waverly Inspirations, I think it's called Scallops. If I remember right.
Now you're enabling me again.
No, don't do it.
After that last batch of stencils, my husband was like, how many of those did you get? Like,
every one of them is different, and everyone does different things. You don't understand, honey. How many cars do you have?
Oh, Marianne, you know that paper that I gessoed?
Yes.
And I pulled it, and then when I did the next layer, it pulled the pattern off that paper.
Okay, it pulled the shiny stuff off.
On my second pull, I can see that pattern from the paper on there.
I can't wait to see that.
Yeah,
Okay.
too bad I was using a junk piece of paper.
Yeah. So this one, I did not do the metallic very thick. And I can still see a little bit of paint in there. It might have gotten in deeper had I used my fingers. Maybe I should try to line it up again and do that because it's a much smaller stencil as far as the holes. The smaller the holes are, the more I have to get down into the holes to get them. Oh, I don't know if that'll line up. Let's do. Yeah, by the time I
You
try
want
to
it
do
to
that.
line up so it won't.
Exactly. I'm going to put another one on anyway because we got the other side over here of the 12 by 12. And it's only an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And I'm going to see if I can get, oops, without jiggling the table, down into these holes a bit. But this is a really cool base, even to put on a tag and then start building on it. So it's not very distracting. It's not distracting at all. It's just a little bit of texture and color in the background.
Glennis sent a photo.
Give me a minute. We'll see what Glennis is working on. Okay, let's see. Now, I didn't make that a very, yep, see, that's already dry. It's a very thin layer of paint. So I did not make that a thick layer of paint at all.
It's gorgeous.
This one, there's nothing there.
Well, no, Glennis's photo.
Oh, Glennis,
Wait till you see it.
Of course. If I wanted this to be a much clearer, cleaner, brighter imprint then or print, then I would need to do that first layer thicker. So that's okay. I like that as a background, and I also like to take that and build on. So now
Nothing's
I'm going
wrong
to
with your chat, Julie. It's just going. Nobody's commenting.
Yeah, nope. It's.
I'm not getting anything in StreamYard either, so
That's okay. That's okay. A lot of times, if people haven't used it or done the techniques, then it's just really a watch thing, you know, more so than chat. And sometimes, okay, this is going to require more paint to get down in there. All right, there may come a point where I need to wash this stencil. I kind of hope not.
Think?
But, you know,
you think?
Nah. I don't really worry about washing my stencils either, unless and they get to a point where the paint is really built up so thick that it's too thick for paint to go through, you know, easily. I don't know. That to me is not fun part, and that's a lot of work. So I tend to be very heavy-handed with the paint and put too much on. So I've been really making an effort to put on less paint, knowing that I can always put on more. And so you see me keep adding a little bit. That's because I'm trying to put on less and then add what I need instead of having too much. And I'm making sure I get this black down into all these little grooves. Okay, and so the reason I did the black with the stencil still on is because I've got the blue, the turquoise, and the metallic blue on here in this print, and I want the black to be where the blue is not. I don't necessarily want the black behind the blue right now on this one. I want it to be where, just a second here. I want it to be where the blue is not. So I put the black down with the stencil on. So as I pick it up, you'll be able to see, should be able to see both black and blue. I should have done a heavier layer of blue. I can see that. I'm going to lay this over here. I need a third hand just for the wet stencils. put them somewhere. I'm going to take a piece of paper and take some of the black off of this stencil here. Because I need to let this one dry. If I pick it up right now, I'm going to get a lot of black smeared. And I think UPS might be here, but hopefully he'll just leave them at the door. Maybe that was the mailman. Okay, so I need to let this black dry here. I don't need to stick my fingers into the black paint, although I usually do. But look how cool this is off the back of the stencil.
I like that.
Yeah, that is cool.
Toby says, gorgeous, love those colors together.
Me too.
Julie says maybe Margie fell asleep. Toby says, I don't buy things online unless I know the people. Marianne can vouch for me. I've been hacked 5 times in the last 2 years.
Yeah, she has. Guys, I'm trying to get gel plates for us from somewhere at a discount, and I thought I had them at one point, and then that fell through. I'm working on it. I really am working on it. Okay, I'm going to set this stencil over here. Okay, I can see that the black is not dry on here. I'm going to put some more of the metallic blue over it to pull it. But if this black is wet and I put the metallic blue, all I'm going to do is smear black and blue together. And then it'll just look like a bruise, and that's not what I want. So while that is drying, let's I still want to pull up some of these crusties here. So let's see, what color should, maybe a metallic gold. There's red and yellow. There's some cream in there, maybe some orange. Let's try some metallic gold on that and see if we can pick up some of that. So I don't clean my gel plates. I mean, like wash them. When I finish today, if I finish and I'm done and I gotta go and you know, I don't have time to pull them until they're clean, I just leave them like this. And so this is how it was last time I used it. And so then I will start doing pulls today to pull that stuff up. And I've already done actually 4 or 5 pulls on this round one. I don't want to get it on the blue one. They're super close together because I wanted to try to get them where you could see more of the plates. Yeah, I've got this whole variety of sizes, but honestly, guys, if you're getting one, your first one, 5x7 or 8x10, honestly. I don't think I would go any larger than 8x10. Like I said, I only got this giant one so that you would be able to see on screen a little bit better. Okay, because it's dry underneath, I put a wet layer of paint on it, and I put the paper down immediately. And I'm going to burnish it in. But now I want to let that dry because I want the wet paint layer that I put down to stick to my paper and to the paint that's on the plate. And I want it to bring it all together. Pull the one off the plate. I don't want to just pick up the paint I just put down and leave that dry, crusty layer down there. I want to get that too. So sometimes when you put it down and it's wet, you can see a little bit of wrinkling on the plate. I pick it up, you can see that. A little bit of wrinkling on the plate there, and so that you know it's wet. And when you feel it, it feels that cool, wet kind of. And so as you let it sit and dry, And this one, I just used regular copy paper. Maybe I should have used a lightweight cardstock. I could let it sit there however long. But because it's copy paper, I have to be careful how long I leave it because the paper's just thin paper and it can start to pull the paper apart. So we might have to do another one and do it with a cardstock, a lightweight cardstock. I can hear the paper. I can hear the paper thinking about tearing. Yeah, paper thinks.
Toby said she was really going to get into this. Her daughter-in-law was giving away her clothes rack and snatched that up so I could hang my papers and stencils to dry.
Oh, wow, cool. So here's a cool moon or sun.
Margie said she was briefly interested but got over it. That's
real
gorgeous.
Fast. got over it real fast. Okay, so it got a lot of it, but there's still a lot there. And now it's really gold. And the pull that we got was really gold. You can see the red underneath it and through it. But I like the idea of the red now that we've got all that gold. So let's use some red to pull it. Is that red or pink? Primary red. Okay. Let's use some red. It'll look different than the one that was on there. The one that was on there wasn't a primary red. Hopefully that's thick enough. I didn't do that very thick.
Marianne, Julie wants to know if you have tissue paper, not the thin wrapping kind.
I do. I have artist tissue paper, and we'll get to that.
Julie says she finds it pulls up more.
Depends, yeah. It is also thin though, and if you leave it on too long, it will tear. Yep, it will separate and tear. Yep. That's not the one I want. Quick before it dries. Okay, I want a lightweight cardstock so I can leave this on a little bit longer. I'm going to burnish it on. If you are a member of Patreon, tomorrow is our monthly Laugh and Craft. There are actually 2 monthly Laugh and Crafts. The first one is for the one tomorrow. It's for the marathon, triathlon, and Olympic crafters levels. And we will discuss some things and get your opinions and let you have some input on some things while we're laughing and crafting. And a week from tomorrow, the following Tuesday, will be the second one. And the second Laugh and Craft of the month is for the triathlon and Olympic levels. And that one is a guided tutorial. We've got something new that was super fun to make that I'm going to show you on that one. So I'll put a note in there this afternoon, just as a reminder. Be sure to check your Patreon. And then tomorrow when you go in, there will be a private link into YouTube. You'll need to just take that link into YouTube. And the only ones that will be able to access that link are those in Patreon to get you into YouTube for the Laugh and Craft. So, okay, while I'm waiting for this one to dry, and I can still see a little bit of wet on that. That was fairly thick. I'm going to go take a quick look at Glynis's.
Oh, yeah, I dropped my phone, so now I can't find it.
Uh-oh. Oh my gosh, Glynis, that's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous, isn't it?
Yes. She did a purple and gold with leaves. Look at that. Good. Wow. Good color choice. And that's there's a couple pulls on there, but that's awesome. So you can see that she had to do one layer in purple and one layer in gold in order to get that. That is really gorgeous, Glynis. Yeah. Beautiful colors. Purple and gold are favorites this metallic blue and black are favorites. Oh, they're all pretty.
Yeah, Violet said she loved that too.
Yeah, that is really pretty.
Absolutely stunning, said Julie.
Yes, yes. Okay. We'll when we go to pull this one, we'll pull this one with tissue paper. What I'm using is an artist tissue paper. This one is from Dick Blick, and
Good name.
what? I know,
Great name.
great name. Dick Blick Art Supplies. If you look at it, it looks just like the tissue paper you get at Dollar Tree for wrapping packages, but it is not. It is not quite the same. It is non-bleeding tissue paper. Yeah, I got this one from Dick Blick online. You might have a local store. As long as it's artist tissue paper, not just packaging tissue paper. And these come in a large size, 20 by 30, and I just cut it in half. So this covers my entire giant gel plate with comes off the edges of all sides, and that's half of the sheet. So they're nice size. So we'll use that to pull this one. Let's see how I can see a little bit.
I got a roll of that rice paper.
Oh,
that
cool.
I'll try it.
Yeah, rice paper is wonderful as well.
I'm just waiting for this thing to dry. It's not drying. Oh my God.
So we had some pink underneath there that's showing through because I was only doing 8.5 by 11s, and all of a sudden this one was 12 by 12, and so there's some other colors over here. I'll probably only set that to here, and then that will leave the other side of it to pull something else. So let's see if we get anything. I don't know that this is dry enough yet.
How thick do you put the paint on for that next layer that you're going to pull after it's dry?
This one is typically very thin. But I found that the more crusties there are on the plate,
the more paint you have to have?
The more paint I need. But too thick, all you get is that layer.
Yeah, okay.
So, okay, right here you
And do you let it dry before you put it on? You put it on wet, right? You put the paper back on when it's wet.
No, I have to let every layer dry in between.
Right, but I mean that last layer. You put it on.
Black layer dry. Then I'll put my pickup layer, put my paper on it,
and let that dry.
Leave it to dry.
Okay, that's what make sure I was in the right order.
Yes, yep. When you let it dry in order to pick it up, then the paper needs to be on it. If you let the paint dry in the air, then you have to put something on to pick it up because the dry paint is never going to stick to your paper. So can you see this little white spot right here on this round one? And you see right here on the plate, the corresponding spot. I'm going to pick it up so you guys can see it a little bit easier. Okay. This is really thick crusties, really thick grungies on here. And this is where this is a very lightweight cardstock. And this is where it actually pulled the paper off of the paper because the crusties are on there so good. I start to pull this up. Now it's separating the paper. So I will stop there. I will go to the other side and attempt to go from there. And sometimes I have to go from one corner to the other. Whoops, it's pulling up right there too. So I either needed a really heavier paper, or I'm okay with this, and then the next layer is going to pick them up. But just know that when that happens, it's not that you did something wrong. It's just that either the paper is too thin for what it's trying to do, and the thicker the crusties are and the thinner the paper, the slower I'm going to pull this up. And if it starts to pull up the paper, I'll stop and go from the opposite side. Because again, if I just rip it up, it's going to rip paint right off the paper. If I go slowly, listen, you can hear this. You can hear the paint separating from the plate. Because the crusties are so thick. And if I just rip it, it's just going to rip the paper. That's the weakest point. So you need to go slow enough that the paper can stay together and pull the crusties off. So even losing a couple little spots of paper, that's pretty darn cool. Once this dries, you can go back in here with a metallic pen or with gel pens or with a paint pen. Remember the gold metallic paint pen that I had a couple weeks ago that I edged something? Boy, it makes a difference. You know, just puts a frame on it. Those are really cool to use in spots like that. And you can also take like a Posca pen, you know, black and white, and doodle on these, which looks really cool. Oh, by the way, those pens came in. So gold and silver and copper of the paint pen in thick and thin. I do kind of like that one. Let me set these over here.
Margie said you should have cleaned off the plate when it was fresh. Tina said you needed mixed media paper.
Yep, that makes a difference too. And I do have some, but I wanted to use basic paper today that everybody will have, because everybody won't have mixed media paper or watercolor paper, or maybe not even a thick cardstock. I'm going to set those aside for a minute. But look how much of that plate we've gotten off. What the last thing to come off all the time is the edge. It always is, because the edge is the thickest. And you notice when I roll the paint over it, it has a hard time even sticking to the edge because the edge is the thickest. So I'm checking this for wet. There's a couple little doohickeys right there that are kind of thick and they look a little bit wet still.
Got nothing on that one.
The rest of it looks pretty dry. Okay, we're going to go ahead with that. All right, so I think I want to put down, I really like the contrast of the metallic blue and the black. So we're going to use some more metallic blue as the pickup paint for this one. And I really want to go lightly on the chance that there is any wet black paint. I don't just want to pick it up. Okay, and you want to err on the side of brayering it less than more. The more you brayer it, the more you chance messing up your design. This is the tissue paper, the artist tissue paper. Very thin, so I want to make sure I get it down without any wrinkles. Now you're going to see some wrinkles form because it's wet, but I want to lay it down at least flat so that it doesn't have big folds and things in it. I'll gently burnish it. And it feels cold and wet to the touch. It doesn't feel wet like through the paper wet, but it feels like what's on the other side of that cold paper is wet. So I want to give that a chance to dry, but I know that there's a fine line with this. Even though it's artist tissue paper, it is still tissue paper, and it will stick. It will stick and separate the paper too. So I can test it out by pulling up a corner. Let me give it a little bit longer. I've gotten some really cool black and metallic blue or black and turquoise. It's metallic turquoise
Oh, there we go.
prints off of this with this exact stencil. Okay. I've got several other things to get to, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this very gently. It's not bringing up the black. Interesting.
I had one that did that just a minute ago with the rice paper that I used. It didn't pick up much of anything, but the last layer I put down picked a little bit up, but not much.
Okay, so, but look what we've got. A perfect imprint. A perfect imprint of that stencil. So, where's our black brayer? If you like perfection, you might have a hard time with the gel plate. And here's another thing. You never know exactly what you're going to get. And you can do the same technique 3 times in a row, and I guarantee you it will look different each time. It will never be exactly the same.
Julie says she's too impatient to leave the crusties on there. She gets clear packing tape or double-sided clears tape and use it on something later.
Oh, yeah, that's another cool technique.
Yeah, I've done that.
That's like that faux washi.
Julie says she has problems with the metallic paint not pooling. I think it's a fine line.
I've never had problems before.
Consistency.
I use the metallic turquoise a lot, and I've never had problems before. But yeah, you can do the same thing 3 times, and you're going to get a different print every time. It never turns out the same, guaranteed.
Oh, that tissue.
There's a couple other techniques with the stencils that I want to show you, though. So let's see if we can get this to pull up and move on. Okay, well that is one there. Let's take the end of this one and put it right here. See if we can pick that up. You're picking up the same thing, so let's see the difference in the cardstock and the artist paper on this one. And you can't pull once and go, oh, that didn't work with that artist tissue paper, so it just doesn't work. Or it just doesn't work for me. Because it's not true. Like I said, you're going to get something different every single time. And because one doesn't work, or doesn't work in the way you think it would or should or was supposed to, doesn't mean that it doesn't work and that you won't get something you absolutely love the very next time. That's a lot of black. But the metallic blue is there. That looks cool. All right.
Yeah, it does.
Over there. And let's see how this page is.
Yeah, Julie says she also learned not to have a fan going when she's gel pulling because it dries the paint.
Yeah, it does dry your paint out quickly, much more quickly than without. Now, this is cardstock, which is much thicker, and it pulled. When I get a lot of layers, I find the thicker paper pulls better because it just gives more for the paint to grip onto.
Mine never looked that pretty.
I bet they do. There's that pink line right down there that we had. And
that's
you can
cool.
see, look at that. Perfect little line where the cardstock was and where we tried with the tissue paper. Let's just see if we can get this up quickly. Okay, I'm going to use this one. This is why my big plate gets so many crusties around it, because my paper doesn't go to the edge. And so if I put paint to the edge, I end up with a big frame. That's kind of cool. The black is like shadow within the metallic.
Yeah.
And I can just keep, okay, I'm going to do, let's do something completely different on there. This is a magenta. A lot of pulls from one thing. I'm going to do this too, just because there's still some pieces, parts and pieces on there that will be picked up eventually. I want that on the edge. And I'm going to take this one, I'm going to put down this side of it. And once it's dry, you can just take it and pull up something else. Okay, that looks cool, but I want more. I want more layers. I want more color. I want more whatever, like we did on this one. And now to that turquoise base, we added the black and more of the metallic turquoise and some magenta. So you can just keep layering on them. Got a little bit.
Thanks, Glynis, for getting that
Kind of
pot.
like
Can
this
you?
side.
Julie said, "Can you get some mixed media paper out and use that just to show us what it does, please?"
Yes, I can. But I do want to show you a couple more techniques with the stencils, because that's what I promised today, was stencil techniques. Let me just pick up some of this paint that's sitting here. And that's dry, so that's not going to pick up a little bit. Okay. Let's see here. I might. Oh, I wanted to put some black paper too and show you the metallics on black. They're very cool. There's colored pencil paper. Drawing paper. There's a watercolor. And yeah, maybe we'll do more gel plates coming up soon, since now we're all thinking about gel plates, because there's just so many different techniques and different things to use and different ways of doing it. Okay. All right, I want to show you a very simple technique that everybody can do with a stencil, let's see, that rose one would work really well. A stencil that has a lot of open space. So the one that we just used was a very closed stencil. There was a lot of stencil there and very small holes. Like a stencil like this one has a lot of open holes. We'll do this two ways. First, I'm going to use a red metallic.
Ooh, I like what it did to the fabric. Ooh.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Whole nother technique, Candy. Don't tell them all the things you're playing with. That's a whole nother day.
Oh, I was using stencils. I'm just pulling it with fabric. That's all.
Yeah. Oh, now see, I got way too much on here. So we'll throw some over here. It is so cool on fabric.
Oh, Glennis did one on a brown paper bag.
Oh, cool.
Julia said that was a Linda Israel stencil.
Yes. Actually, it is a Linda. This is a Linda stencil. I love it. It's one of my favorites. Okay, this one right here is what one she's talking about. I'm going to set this one down. Okay, and this works with a thin stencil. And I'm going to take a roll of paper towel and I'm going to roll it across the top of the stencil. You're getting the idea what I did there. All I did was put some texture onto the roses. So any stencil with large holes, this one would work. There's large holes there. And a roll of paper towels. You can also use your paper towels afterwards and look at the cool roses I got on the paper towels. And all we did was add texture. And our hope here is that we don't brayer out the texture. That it'll pick up the roses with the texture on them. And we're going to get some of that other one behind it, I'm sure, because there was a lot of that left on. If you started with a brand new clean plate, you wouldn't have metallic blue behind it. So textured roses, but let's do, hang on, let's put some cream down and just pick this up. Oh, it is open, okay. Do a quick pickup of. And so texture, or using the paper towels, is just a form of mark making. And you can make marks on your gel plates just like you would on paper with texture plates, with tools. The only thing that you need to be aware of is that you do not want to use anything sharp, pointy, that is going to in any way dig into or could possibly poke your plate. Well, that's still a little wet. We might get clear out to there. I'm going to try to pick up, right now I'm just picking up paint. Sometimes some of the funnest things come from just picking up the paint, trying to clean up your plate. Those are the great things for collaging. It's like brayering off. I like to brayer off onto other gel plates, and that kind of builds up and pull it then. But sometimes I'll brayer off right onto paper those brayer papers. They're like your overspray papers. They're very cool. They're great for collaging or for backgrounds. So we're going to get a little bit of everything that we've done on there, even a little bit of the metallic blue. And look, the imprint of that one is still there. We could still get more of that one. But let's do this one. Let's see here. Let's try it the opposite way, where we put down the stencil, and then, no, you know what? I'm going to use, there's only a little bit left in this. I'm going to use this up. I got some over here that don't have a whole lot in them, and I really want to use them up. Some of these that I've been using are Stamperia. I love the Stamperia paint, so I'm trying to use up these others that I have.
They're thick.
They are, but here's what's really weird to me is that I first got them and I thought, oh man, they're so thick, because I got them a long time ago. I got them before I ever wanted to bring them to sale, because I like to try them out. If I don't like them, I'm not gonna bring them to you guys. But I thought, man, these are thick. They might not be so great. They're just too thick. And I tried them. What I found was that even though they were thicker than these other paints, they spread farther. So I tend to put too much on. I have to be really careful because they're thicker paints, but they spread farther. So in the end, I used the same amount of paint from that one as others, except the quality of the paint was a little bit better.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to set this one over here upside down, and I'm going to put a piece of paper on it. But this is where you have to work quickly, because I want a piece of paper on that to pick that up. But I also want to save this rose paper towel. And I want to, kind of like Argyle, I want to run some texture over these. Look how cool that is.
Very cool.
And I'm going to let that dry. This one over here that I'm rubbing is the back of the stencil. I just wanted to get the paint off the back of the stencil. I'll let that one, well, actually, ooh, I got a lot off the back of the stencil. Wow. Actually, I think I don't want to let that one dry. I want to see how much of that texture we can get up without letting it dry. So let's do that. This will be the negative and positive of the same stencil. This one, that's cool. Don't usually have that much paint on the back. It came right off. Okay. Those of you who were at Saturday Night Live, one of the things that we had to use was wallpaper. Okay, there we've got the texture in the design. So if I took a piece of paper, say, you don't always have to have a stencil or something down. There are a lot of things I do that I'll put a layer of paint down. I'll put the paper down and just pick up the layer of paint. Now that's what I'm starting with as a base. So if I had done that and had just, black or, ooh, there's a metallic blue in there, would have been cool with that. Or yellow would have been really cool with that. And that was the background. And then I did this with the texture. That would have been on top of that. That would look really cool, and that texture would stick out. Can you see the shadows of that stencil on here at all? I'm going to remove a couple of these, covering up my paint. There's shadows of that on there, and I haven't really tried this, but I want to try something here. This is a Stamperia called Saffron, which is yellow. It's a really gorgeous, rich yellow. And I want to know what would happen if I put that over this, and it's going to be offset. So I'm hoping that there's kind of a shadow effect from that stencil pattern.
Sorry, I had to step out. Laura just came in.
That's okay. Hi, Laura.
She survived her Monday meetings.
Yay!
Halfway through, she realized she hadn't finished her coffee and had to glug it cold. Oh, that's nasty.
Yuck. I don't even drink coffee, and that sounds nasty. This saffron is a really pretty color, and I don't know. Once I put it on, I can't really see that shadow that's on the plate, but it doesn't really matter where I set this paper because all of them will be in the same place. You know what I mean? So the shadow would all either be to the left, to the right, to the bottom,
yeah,
whatever it is. But I'm hoping to get kind of a shadow effect.
Is yellow and blue like that a Tuscan thing?
I don't know if it's Tuscan. It could be, but yellow and blue is a oft used combination. Oh, that is working. That is cool. Okay, so I pulled the blue one first all by itself. And then I still had these little outlines on the gel plate in blue. They're either going to show up on the next thing I pull, or I put this down, which was a white piece of paper. So I put that saffron. Isn't that a gorgeous color, Candy? That saffron.
It is. Really pretty.
Put that saffron down. It pulled up those shadows. And so now I have the whole shadow image. That's kind of cool. And
Laura and Julie love it. Sorry.
Oh, say that again. I'm sorry.
Julie and Laura love it.
Nice. Awesome. Thank you. I could have done the same thing with this. And this actually would, I don't see any left. But I could put that same stencil down again and do it again with the saffron and get saffron inside these. That would look really cool too. Or, oh no, just too many things. Too many options. So, okay, so Saturday night I used a piece of wallpaper. Where did I just set it? It was just in my hand. There it is. There's a lot of wallpaper that has texture on it. This just happens to be a roll of wallpaper that is white. It has texture under here, down in the groove. It has texture that, raised sections. It's white because it's intended to put it on the wall and then paint it. But I like it for its texture. So if I put down, let's see, what color of paint do we want to use? Candy, you pick a color.
Purple.
Okay. We haven't used any purple.
We haven't used any purple. I was trying to think something we hadn't used.
Let's see.
They said you need to scan that one into your computer.
Ooh, I've got some Arteza. We'll do Arteza on a whole nother day. I'm really liking these Stamperia ones. Okay, let's do purple, and that will be fine if it goes over to this pink, because it's going to. There, I want to say we just did inventory on the Stamperia purple, and I want to say that there are actually 3 different purples, a light, medium, and dark, correct? Does that sound right to you? There was a, yeah, light, medium, and dark.
Light and dark for sure.
And actually, Stamperia has, I only brought out the little bottles, but they have some paints in a bottle and some paints in a tube. The tube is like this kind of tube. So if you prefer tube or bottle, they're both available. We're going to have those this weekend at the sale, and we'll probably give some away. Pulling some things to do giveaways for those. Okay, so now let me remember what it was that I was going to do with this purple. I'm going to get some texture imprint with this piece of wallpaper. Might not be the best piece of wallpaper to do that with because it is meant to absorb the paint, to put on the wall and absorb the paint, because it's a paintable wallpaper. So when I do this, I have this now to work with, and I have the imprints in the paint. So then, shoot, there's still several techniques that I wanted to show, so we're running out of time. Then I can take a larger stencil and set that down. And this I'm doing with a texture making thing and a stencil, but typically I do this with 2 stencils. So I want to show you that one too. Purple, let's see. What do we want to do with the purple? How about this? Oh, it's not dry yet. Some of it is. It's not all dry. That's not good if it's not all dry. And I just realized I did this backwards from how I wanted to do it, typically do it. So, yeah, you know what? This is how we learn new things. This is let's see if this works, because I did it backwards. So, yeah, it may not work. I don't expect it to work. But if it does, then we've all found something new. Yeah, it didn't work. Our texture has pretty much been brayered out, but that's okay, because here's what I should have done that first and then brought this in and put the texture on top of it. But instead of doing that, because of time, I'll show you the stencil on stencil way to do that. So we've got one with big holes. We'll get one with smaller holes. And I'm going to go back to that purple. Gotta let the bottom one dry though. And because I hadn't planned to do this, I was doing something else. Now this one is backwards. It'll work. It just won't have quite the same impact that I would want. So here's the thing to remember when you're gel plating. When you are building something on a canvas, you put something down, you put the next layer down, you put the next layer down, and you're always seeing what's on top, right? And so we tend to think that way here. It's exactly the opposite, because whatever I put down first, when I pull it off, that becomes the top, right? The bottom becomes the top.
Yeah.
So I want to put my smallest thing down first. I want to put my lightest colors down first. So that's why I'm saying now this one is backwards, because I would have put this stencil down first so that it was on top of the larger stencil holes. So let's see what happens when we do the larger ones on top of the smaller ones. I mean, I realize I'm putting the smaller ones on top of the larger ones, but it's going to pull the opposite. Not enough. probably only do a portion of the stencil because it's 12 by 12 and my paper is all 8.5 by 11. Okay, so let's grab some 8.5 by 11 and let's put it right here. And you can keep in mind what direction you have it turned. If you're making papers of certain colors to go in a certain project, and maybe you want to have them all directionally, you know, if you wanted these to be dragon scales or waves or mermaid scales or, you know, just kind of that image in the background, what direction do you want them going? So turn your...
Oh, it's funny. You need to read. They were talking about wallpaper books.
Uh-huh.
They need to get some, and Julie was telling her you need to go to tell Laura that you need to go and ask about going in. And Glennis says, "Well, line some up when she's there, she'll go with her." And Laura goes, "Why would I want you to do that? We make phone calls when you could be fussy cutting."
Oh, okay. The colors that Glennis used. See how cool that gold looks with the purple? Yeah.
Laura
Now
says,
look
"I
what
let Mom do almost everything she wants unless it's like walk away with all my die cuts."
Yeah, really. Okay, I'm going to turn this over and see if I can get some of it off the back. Walk away with all my die cuts. I have a feeling that she walks away with quite a few. I have a feeling Glennis doesn't hold out on her little girl. Okay, so do I have something that has an edge that I still want to fill up? This could use something over it. I'm going to do this. I don't want to set the whole thing down. I just want to pick up that edge over there. And add some of that on the black. Okay.
Oh, yeah, we only got 10 minutes left. And Glennis sent another photo, too.
Okay, let's check what she's doing. So this is drying right here. You can see the imprint on the plate. So if it dries, then we can, ooh, yeah, cool. I have a stencil here. I was going to use it. I'm glad you did because we didn't have time. Oh, that's beautiful. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Red and gold is also a great combination. That looks like a stencil itself. That is beautiful, Glennis. Change it so maybe you can see a little bit of the grunge and stuff. That's really pretty. Wow. It's fun to just sit down and have just a gel plating session where you just make tons of paper, all different colors and whatevers. So when you need something, you just can tear pieces off or use the whole page, cut them up. Okay, let's get that metallic gold. It's drying, it's almost dry. There's only a couple spots, like right there and there, that maybe aren't quite dry. It's kind of difficult, don't you find, Candy, going back and forth from the small plate to the large plate because you have to put so much more paint on the large plate and then use the small plate. And then I'm like, oh, gee, that's way too much paint. That's why I'm heavy-handed. These could be little rainbows. It's a great stencil. Okay.
Oh, that was on a brown paper bag, Glenda said.
Oh, cool. The golden red was on a brown paper bag. That is, gosh, some of my favorite paper has been like keep the brown packing paper or any color packing paper that they send you in your packages. Some of my favorite paper, I had some blue metallic that I did on brown packing paper that I absolutely loved. And then some that turned out a really nice rust color. And I'll just keep them, rolled up in. Okay, we got most, oh, so violet, the light purple doesn't show up as well on the brown. But I could take a dark purple and do something over the top of that, and that would be really cool looking. So the thing about gel plates is if you get a pull. If you don't completely 100%, I don't say you don't like it, but if you aren't completely satisfied with it, that just means it's not done. You can let it dry and pull again on top of it. You can spray it with some sprays. It's not done until you love what you got. And you just can keep layering and layering. There's the violet underneath. Now, and that's odd because normally you'd put the gold underneath, the metallic gold, because it's so much darker. But this was just the imprint on the plate, so it wasn't actually putting the purple on the gold. It's just what was left after all the pulls. There was just a little bit of the violet left. But that looks kind of cool. Okay, so there's still quite a bit of that. With that gold, I always default back to a metallic turquoise. One of my favorites. And it would still look good with the lavender. I'm just going to go over some of this that's over here, even though there's no design out there. I'm going to lay this down. You notice how instantly any folds are gone as soon as I put it down here? And I'm not folding it up tight. It's like a smashed roll is what it is. But it works. Let's see if we can get some of that. See if we can clear this up some. Okay. Ooh, there's even some lavender on it. Especially this end. There's lavender and pink. And the metallic turquoise.
Glenna said February will just have to be stencil month.
Well,
Marianne, Julie want to know if you have like matte paint or glossy paint better on the gel plate.
Both.
Just depends
The
on what I'm
metallic
looking
is
for,
shiny. Yeah, the metallic is shiny, and I absolutely love working with the metallic paint on the gel plate.
Laura said she used a grocery bag to make faux leather
Oh,
using
yeah.
moisturizer. Turned out pretty good.
Laura, we're going to be doing that. We're going to be turning brown paper, packing paper, or or a paper bag. We're going to be turning that into faux leather. That's on the list. How did you know? Let's see. We need something just to pick up some of this stuff. Let's go with a light yellow. I really need to try to use some of these up. I think I'm just going to stick with the Stamperi after I use these guys all up. Let's see. Just want to pick up, there's metallic turquoise, and there's pink, and there's purple on there. And excuse me, I've got some papers over here that maybe have had one pull, not completely satisfied, so they could use more. You know, rarely do I, well, never, maybe never, do I do a paper that's just one pull. Rarely. Every now and then with a stencil, because all I want is that stencil background, but rarely is it just one pull. It's almost always layered. Okay. Right now, let's see if we can clean up this. We're going to start a whole thing with ATCs too. And I have a technique that I love using the ATCs on the gel plate, or at least starting them on the gel plate. Although you don't have to have a gel plate to do it. When we do it, I will show two side by side, one on gel plate and one not. All right, love this. Love how this is picking up.
Oh, that's pretty.
Picking up all the leftover paint from all of the paints that have been on there. Some good grunge, all kinds of colors. Let's see what this one got. That's cool too. I like the black and the pink. I like how it pulled this pink off and exposed this black. So do I have, oh, I do. I have just a couple leftover ATC coins on watercolor paper. And I'm going to lay those down here. So here's the thing about watercolor paper, or any paper like tempera paper. There's other papers too that they have a textured side, or a side that is more textured than the other. That is not the side you want to lay down. You want to lay down the smooth side. The textured side helps keep it from picking it up so well. So you want to lay down the smoothest side of the paper if it has more than one texture on the two sides. What am I going to pick this up with? We've got that pink and the black. Ah, that's so pretty. How about a bright blue? No, how about this little turquoise right here?
It's 3 o'clock.
Okay. Let's just see if we can pick some of this up right here with these little ATC coins. Even though I keep my brayers separate, I keep going to grab this one right here that is only for burnishing. But that's why I don't lay them down side by side. And we'll go look and see what the last things Glynis has done. All right, so I'm going to lay these down. ATC coins are just 2.5-inch circles. Round version of an ATC card. If you have leftover cardstock from things you make, cut it down to either 2.5-inch circles or 2.5 by 3.5-inch little cards, and start collecting you some of those for our ATC project we'll be doing. Okay, ideally I'd want to let this dry a bit more, but oh, you can see lots of layers in there. Let's see. Look what's still under there. And when I pull with a piece of paper over the top, I'm going to get the whole circle imprint too. That's cool. Metallic red or metallic pink under there. I'm not even sure which one that was. So these are just bases now. So there's something in the background besides a white piece of paper then that I can go start with. And if you know you're creating bases like that, you can take a stencil. Oh, there's still a couple techniques we didn't get to. Darn. Well, hey, we might, let me think about it. We might end up doing stencils again next week on gel plate for a couple more techniques.
You need Glennis to come on for that one.
Oh, let's see if I've got something that we want to pick that up.
Klimtish. Margie said Klimtish. Lots of texture, Laura said.
Yeah. There's some great Klimt stencils to use on the gel plate. Remember the one we did with, there was 3 colors and it blended from one color to the next, going out like in the starburst or from bottom to top? That's a fun one to do on the gel plate. In fact, we did one with this stencil where it blended out from the darkest in the center. This is the one I think we did black,
yeah.
and then pink, and then gold. Yeah, that's a fun one to do on the gel plate with the black and the pink and the metallic gold. That's cool. And look at the 3 circles. They go back to one of the very first ones we used with that metallic blue and black little design, that Waverly Inspirations one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to lay this down. All right, guys, it is time. It is time. I'm so glad we had this time together. Suddenly feel like Carol Burnett. So, pull my ear and say, thanks for hanging out with us. It has been a lot of fun. If you are a Patreon member, don't forget to check Patreon this afternoon. And I will see you tomorrow in Patreon. Otherwise, I will see you Thursday at Mass Makes, and the Thursday event will be in this afternoon as well. So for the Thursday Mass Makes, those have been a lot of fun, and I'm seeing how a lot of you are using them already, and they've been helpful to me to be able to grab some already made items. Yeah, just putting some color over something that was very mono. Okay, so thank you for being here. It was a lot of fun. There are still a lot of things left to talk about, even with stencils on gel plates. So I don't know. We may do it. We may do it one more week. But let's see. Oh, my comments are way behind.
Did Glennis send you another one?
She did. Hang on one moment. Before we leave, let's see Glennis's last ones. Oh, very cool. This is on tracing paper. Love all the colors. That looks like a grungy fence. Rusty grungy fence. I love it. Ooh, there's another nice one with the blue and the yellow. Let's see. There we go. That's better. Give it a second here. The camera wasn't picking up the yellow so well. And it's a little blurry, I know, but give it a second. It'll clean up right there. Here's another one. I think I've got this stencil for this weekend, this chevron. That's cool, Glennis. Like that one. Yeah, she's on a roll, that is for sure. Toby, did you just do that on the gel plate? This is what Toby just sent. It looks
Oh,
like
that's
a loaf
cool.
of bread. That's cool. It's metallic gold. Camera's having a hard time with the metallic. That is very cool, Toby. Did you just do that on the gel plate? Yeah, that blue one was awfully neat. Cool. Love seeing what you guys have done. So don't forget to put them in the group in Happy Paper People with the hashtag Monday Jumpstart Jelly Stencils. I buried my paper that has it written on it. So hashtag Monday Jumpstart Jelly Stencils so that we can see all the things that you guys do. Toby says it's on a roll.
Jelly with one L or two L's.
It's for her grandson's garden. Jelly is Gelli, like a jelly plate. It's a gel print from a jelly plate. Stencil, Stencil. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with us. Do appreciate it. It's been fun to hang with you. Watch this afternoon for those other notifications. And we will see you in the group.
Toby said it's on a rock, a stone. It's for, oh, that's cool.
That is cool for the garden. Oh, that'll be very pretty in the garden. Get ready for Thursday's mass make. You'll have that out there this afternoon too, so you can see what we're making and what you'll need to have on hand. But we're going to be using up our supplies to make, how do we say that? We're using up we're using our supplies on stash to make a ready to go stash of items, elements, things that we can use. So goodbye, everyone. Have a great afternoon.